Hi, I'm Hunter Allen with the Peaks Coaching Group, and I want to tell you a little story today. Instead of our normal Thursday tip, we're going to have a Thursday story. This is going to be the story about training stress score. How did training stress score come about? So back in the day, right, back in the year around 2000, 2001, we were working on just learning about training with a power meter and what does this data mean and how do we use it and how do we understand what a ride is. And so Dr. Andy Coggin and I were chatting on the phone, batting ideas back and forth, and I told Andy, I said, you know, Andy, what I really need is I need a score. I need a way that we can score each ride that's based on the intensity of the ride in relationship to your FTP. Like, because, you know, we've got all this data, second by second data, every piece of the ride itself. And so we should be able to score that ride and come up with a score that we can then use in order to plan training down the road, right? Because the ultimate goal is to say, well, I want to be able to create workouts based on these different scores and then actually periodize by that number. So Andy goes away, just like he has many times when he and I chat on the phone, calls me up in 2 weeks and goes, Hunter, Eureka, I've got it. It's going to be called training stress score, and it's going to be based exactly on what you talked about, intensity as a relationship to FTP and time. We're also looking at time. So how long did you ride at 70% of your FTP? How long did you ride at 90% of your FTP? How long did you ride at 120% of your FTP? And so you'll get a score based on that. It's going to be based around the gold standard of 100 points. 1 hour at your FTP, as hard as you can go, basically, right? As hard as you can go for 1 hour, scores 100 points, okay? So that's the gold standard. Everybody gets that. Chris Froome gets that. I get that. You get that. If you go as hard as you can for an hour, you get 100 TSS points. Now, as a part of that piece of the puzzle, we needed an intensity factor because that was the piece that had to go into the equation to create training stress score. So that is the normalized power divided by the threshold power. That allows you to then see how intense your ride was as a relationship, again, to that FTP. So that's the critical piece, and that's how we made that happen. Normalized power came in as well because that was a piece of the puzzle too, and normalized power was something that Andy came up with and really is incredibly genius to basically take into account the metabolic cost of the ride itself. So all those things came about because it's like we needed a score, and ultimately we wanted to get to this place of how do we predict performance? How do we plan performance based on those scores alone? So that's a little history of training stress score and how it was created. Thanks a lot. I'm Hunter Allen from Peaks Coaching Group, and like us on Facebook, check us out on Instagram. We've got incredible things that happen all the time, and I hope to see you there. Thanks a lot.